Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to those that are watching us this afternoon in the Philippines or wherever you are in the world. We're very happy that you're here joining us today live. And we are all excited to be with you this afternoon. And we are welcoming you to our third community day at ulap.org. And it's all about Microsoft Azure. So, welcome. Hi, Fred.
Hello, hi Jonah. It's my first time event hosting an event like this, and I'm glad I have someone on my side like you who have experienced in this kind of platform. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm very happy today to be hosting this event. Uh, I think we first have to for all our audiences who doesn't know ulap yet. We may have I can give you an overview about it. Ulap.org is a for purpose non-stock non-profit organization providing scholarship, pro bono professional training, and community events. We also help underrepresented STEM students kickstart their career in data and technology, well, cloud data and technology. And to know more about us, you can check us out via our website ulap.org. And yeah, Jonah,
Yeah.
can you show us what we have today?
Yes, we have a lot of great things planned for this event, to our event today. So let me just show you our overview of our program. So we will be going through an Azure certification path, and there will be an AI and ML in Azure and a technical demo about Azure Static Web Apps. And we will also have a special guest speaker from Luna Academy. And at the end, the last but not the least, a panel discussion with all of our speakers and including us, your hosts, to discuss more about the great things in cloud platform Microsoft Azure. So our schedule for today would look like this. So we have the introduction right now, and our next speaker, next session will be about Azure Career Path and Certification by Ian de Torres. And then next, we will also have a session with Emil Pastor at Microsoft about AI and ML. And at 6 p.m. to 20 p.m., we will also have a technical session and show you how Azure works in action with Philip Domingo about Azure static web apps, and also Luna Academy that will help you with upskilling and learning more about cloud technologies like Azure. And also the panel discussion would be the last part and the closing. Yes, so thank you so much. So let's welcome our first guest for today.
Yeah. Oh, but by the way, we didn't introduce ourselves, Jonah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're so
So
excited.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
you go
before
first,
anything
Fred.
else, we would like to introduce ourselves. I am Fred. I'm also a full stack application developer. I have experience in building enterprise applications using Microsoft technologies since 2014, I would say. And now I am currently an ulap.org volunteer and a community leader. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm also. My name is Jonah Andersson. I am a Filipina based here in Sweden. I am a software engineer and a Microsoft MVP for Azure, and also the founder of one of the event partners of ulap.org, which is the Azure User Group Sweden. And it is my honor, and I'm very humbled to be one of the community leaders and volunteer of ulap.org. Yes.
Yeah, and today we will be joined by a group of talented people who have shown their capabilities with Microsoft Azure over time. We have,
Yes, and yeah, sorry.
please go ahead, Jonah.
Yeah, we have great speakers today from different categories. So we have Ian, Emil, Philip, Alec, just to further show us how Microsoft Azure can be a good choice of bringing your ideas live into the cloud. So, yes.
Looks like we have a list of top-notch veterans in the field. Uh, yeah, but of course, this event would not be possible without our partners, um,
Yes, we
partners and volunteers of ULAP, headed by our founders Michelle and Marilag.
Yes, and we also would like to thank you, our premium sponsors, Alibaba Cloud, Dewise, Cloud Swift, and Luna Academy. And also our event partners, Azure User Group Manila, Azure User Group Sweden, and most especially Microsoft. Thank you so much for being our event partners.
Yeah, and now without further ado, let's get into the program proper. On to you, Jonah.
Yes, the demand of cloud computing continues to expand and flourish these days, and it is really critical to have a different perspective of this cloud computing technology like Microsoft Azure. And we will be going through in our first session, we will be going through about the certifications and careers available in Microsoft Azure with our first speaker, Ian de Torres. And Ian works at Microsoft, and he works enabling high impact organizations and developer communities to achieve more and drive and value of our intelligent cloud and edge across the Philippines. Let's welcome Ian on the stage. Hi, Ian. How are
Hi,
you?
Hello,
Jonah.
Ian.
Hi, Fred.
Hi. Hello.
Glad to be here for this Microsoft Azure Community Day. Yep. Thanks
Yes,
for
thank
having me.
you. You're
How are you?
welcome. Yeah.
How's it
Okay.
going, Ian?
Hmm. Uh, it's a bit hot here in the Philippines, but doing so well.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's great. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that we can make Philippines hotter with our great sessions coming.
Yep. I hope
Okay.
a
Yes.
lot of
So,
our attendees will be able to get insights from our session for today.
yes. Thank
Looks
you
like
so
it.
much. So, will you have the stage? Let me just share your presentation here. And thank you. So, you have the stage.
All right. So, thank you, Jonah and Fred. So, to our audience, to our virtual audience joining us for this Microsoft Azure Community Day. So, I'm Ian de Torres. I'm the developer marketing lead at Microsoft Philippines, and today, I'm going to give you some insights on how Microsoft helps you. How we can help you to unlock your potentials and opportunities when it comes to Azure career path and certifications. And as we all know, that the global COVID-19 pandemic has forced individuals and organizations to adopt new ways of doing daily tasks, from working to learning. And it has also accelerated the journey to the cloud for many of us. For others, it has made them more reliant on the cloud. And with that move comes a demand for professionals or even for students with cloud computing skills. So, and moving forward, like each of us is on a career journey, even if you're a student or you're a professional, or regardless whether in what industry you are in right now, we each have a different idea of where we want the journey to take us, or maybe we're not sure, or which is totally fine. And like I said, your career is really a journey. So regardless of our ultimate career aspiration. Like for students, we want to graduate college, or even if you're a high school student, you want them to graduate high school, or even professionals to have growth, right? We all want to have an impact, not only for ourselves, but only for the organizations where we are today in our career. We also want our work as what role that you may have right now to matter not just to ourselves but to the people and organizations we serve. Not only for the organizations but for the community as well. So we always wanted to have that create impact. But then, speaking of impact, what do we really mean by impact? So let me share with you a working definition of impact. As you can see on the slide, it says that the demonstrable benefits that our work provides to our customers, our business, our team, and our culture. It's having greater impact isn't about doing more, but about yielding greater results for the work that we do. So it's really more of exploring your capabilities and exploring opportunities that may come to you. So that just so you know, you have just to grab it and make sure that you're aligned with your career path. So, and with that, within the community, we've all within ourselves, we always have identified. We always look at the set of competencies that we tend to see in some other people or in ourselves who could possibly have strong and sustained impact. And developing these skills is a way to help you increase your impact. So it's really a matter of developing it, upskilling what you have right now, which is very important. But really, when it comes to certification, why do you have to get earn certification? Why do you need to get certified? Based on the articles that I've read about certifications, is that certifications demonstrate first your commitment to superior professionalism. Second is it upholds industry standards. And third is continued learning. These three merits can help you boost your professional credibility and prestige within your own network. Kumbaga, bragging rights, right? And with your current clients and when pursuing new business opportunities or bidding on projects, because it's really add ups to your confidence that you have the certifications and plus points when you apply for a job or you're looking open up to a new business, right? So before I move on, let me show you a video, an overview about what's the value of having Microsoft certification, not only for Azure but for all the available Microsoft certifications available in Microsoft Learn. So let's watch this.
Microsoft certifications provide globally recognized and industry-endorsed evidence of mastering technical skills. They demonstrate a willingness to embrace new technologies and simplify talent identification.
We live in a world where we don't have a 3-year cycle product release. We have a 3-hour cycle product release. We have to keep up with that. The pace of change is phenomenal. And yeah, training, certification is definitely going to change around that arena.
Aligned to job roles that meet today's and future industry and market needs, Microsoft certifications validate skills and capabilities required to be successful.
If I get hired in a new role, if I get promoted, if I get transferred somewhere else, they can look at the certification without having to do an in-depth study of me, and they can say, okay, this person knows this, 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 and this.
I think that certifications help me personally know and give me confidence that I do know what I'm talking about. And it shows the community and my boss that, you know, I've got that qualification as well.
According to research, 67% of tech professionals say certifications build confidence. 41% are happier with their jobs, and 35% say certifications made them more excited and optimistic about their career.
It allows you to evaluate a person and make a determination around the fact that they are able to learn, that they can do things that allow them to perform a particular role, and that role requires a certain skill, and that certification is a demonstration of that skill.
For an employee to come in with a certification shows that they have drive and they have initiative. We want people who want to better themselves because they'll take the job, they'll learn, they'll push, they'll disrupt, hopefully they'll help us innovate, and at the end, that's what we want.
Stay ahead, get hired, and receive the recognition you deserve.
Yep. So that's what Microsoft certification is all about. But let me dig deeper about Microsoft Azure. Uh, Let me show you on how do we pursue Microsoft Azure certification. Like I said, the world is rapidly changing, and the IT and development professionals and the organizations that are looking for people are with digital and cloud skills must be ready to meet the challenges of today's economy. And what's required for today's job isn't what was needed even just 5 years ago. In fact, the average life of a skill today is less than 5 years. And to be successful these days, it's important to keep growing your skill set, your experience, and abilities. So right now, Azure certifications offer IT professionals an edge in this cloud-based and connected world, where job seekers and seasoned professionals alike can use Azure certifications to help advance in their career, in their existing organization, or enroll or in new ones, wherein they could earn recognition and validate their technical knowledge and abilities in current and future industry job roles. And organizations can use these certifications to identify the talent they need and build the technical skills of their workforce. So, like I said, the value of having a certification is that certification helps professionals stand out and organizations find talent. With Azure certifications, these are globally recognized and industry endorsed. They're used both by job seekers or individuals and by talent seekers, or which is the company, as a way for them to validate that a candidate has the skills to do the job. And certification is actually the powerful differentiator in the quest to match skilled talent to key jobs in the digital age. Because when you have the certification, you have the edge of getting the job, or it's really a big differentiator. It's a powerful differentiator when you have a certification. So, what is it about when you advance your career when it comes to Microsoft Azure? So here are some insights about what Microsoft Azure certifications is all about.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your confidence in modern hybrid cloud environments? Can you manage on-premises, in the cloud, and at the edge? Do you support your apps and infrastructure with data and analytics and protect them with security from the ground up? No matter where you are or what language or framework you operate in, Microsoft certifications for Azure can give you an edge. With industry-recognized skills and credentials that show current and future employers you're keeping pace with the latest technical roles and requirements. Whether you manage infrastructure, create apps, or use data to drive your business, if you're looking to advance your career or jumpstart a new one, there's an Azure certification designed for you. From fundamentals to role-based and specialty, every certification offers training that will help you upskill and demonstrate your achievements. You can choose the way you want to learn, with access to a breadth of options to grow your confidence and expertise through self-paced learning, training events, and instructor-led training. Ready to set yourself apart with Microsoft certifications for Azure? Find your path at aka.ms/Azure Certs.
All right, so that's what Microsoft Azure certification is all about. But let's dig deeper about it. So actually, Microsoft Azure certifications, of all the certifications that you'll be able to see on Microsoft Learn, is that it's divided into three. It could be a role based. First, it could be role based, or it could be on a specialty, or it could be on fundamentals. As you can see on the slide, this is the complete portfolio of certifications for Microsoft Azure. It is designed to meet industry and market needs with roles, the skills, and the capabilities that you need for the job, including the specializations, whether it's on sub workloads or IoT developer, or it could be on role base. It could be on security engineer, on AI, or data or database administrator. All of these certifications prove that a person has the skills to help organizations maximize the capabilities of the cloud to achieve desired business outcomes. And with that, with these certifications, Microsoft always update this regularly to reflect the change of pace of business and technology and stay ahead of the curve. And the following certifications that you can see on the slide is that remain technically accurate and relevant with updates occurring every 2 months, and additional roles from time to time and specialties added as a market requires. So let me let me show you some examples. So for example, one of the Azure fundamentals. So here's an overview of Microsoft Azure fundamentals. So who are the intended audience for this certification? So those candidates for this certification should have foundational knowledge of cloud services and how those services are provided with Microsoft Azure. So what are the exam details for this month? So some example of exam details is that on the skills measured for this certification is about describing the cloud concepts, on what cloud computing is all about, the core Azure services, the security, the privacy and compliance and trust, even the Azure pricing and service level agreements and life cycles. So, and once you've learned about these course about Azure fundamentals, you'll be able to get the exam and get certified on Microsoft Certified on AZ900. So it's actually with this certification, it validates your foundational knowledge about the cloud services and those services provided with Microsoft Azure. So, and for Azure fundamentals, this is the journey to this is the journey for AZ900. So it would be if you are thinking of what certification should I get, if you may start with the basics first. So for example, if you want to pursue on cloud services, or you want to pursue on cloud computing, or you want to on the fundamentals of cloud, you'll be able to get these Azure fundamentals, and you'll be able to demonstrate fundamental knowledge of cloud concepts, or as well as Azure services and other workloads and security and privacy and pricing and support. So what's good with this journey is that you'll be able to choose what type of experience you would want to get. So it's either a self-paced online learning, or it could be an instructor-led learning, or it could be via training events. Later on, I'm going to show you a link on where you can register for free trainings that could give free certification vouchers as well for Azure fundamentals. Not only for Azure fundamentals, but as well as AI fundamentals and data fundamentals. So we give that training, and we give free certification vouchers as well. So that's for a fundamental journey for Microsoft Azure fundamentals. So moving on. Yeah, like I said, you'll be able to choose, it's either an instructor-led training, so it could be a one-day training, or it could be a two-day training. So the one that we have right now, the Microsoft Virtual Training Day for Azure Fundamentals is 2 days. It's a two-session, each session consists of 3 hours. Session one is about cloud concepts and core Azure services, and the second session is about pricing and about the licensing of Azure. And when it comes to self-paced learning, what's good about this is that uh, you hold your time. You can take it anytime, anywhere, even with your mobile phone, or it could be with your tablet, or it could be your laptop. So that's how it's easy and accessible for everyone, for you to be able to get ahead of the curve when it comes to taking a certification exam or a certification course. So moving on, this one is an example of a role-based uh, a certification. So this is an Azure Developer Associate. So what does who is this certification for? So this certification are for candidates for the who should have subject matter expertise on designing, on building, on testing, and maintaining cloud applications and services on Microsoft Azure. So some of the responsibilities for this role includes participating in all phases of cloud development, and from requirements from definition and design to development to deployment, and maintenance and performance tuning and monitoring. So ano ba yung meron with Azure Developer Associate? So what are the skills measured for Azure Developer Associate? So the skills measured are the following. You could develop Azure Compute Solutions. You'll be able to develop for Azure Storage. You could implement Azure Security. You'll be able to monitor, troubleshoot, and even optimize Azure solutions. And last but not least is that you'll be able to connect and consume Azure services and third-party services. So you'll be able to see the knowledge and experience from 1 to 2 years of professional development experience. But then what's good about this is you'll be able to get access to it for free online at Microsoft Learn. Later on, I'm going to give you the links on how you can enroll on Microsoft Learn as well. So this is the journey as well for the Azure Developer Associate. So there's actually a prerequisite for this certification. So if you have the following certification from MCSD to MCSA for web applications, or even MCSA for Universal Windows Platform. So like there's also two options on how you can get this training. It could be self-paced online learning, or it could be an instructor led training. So, and there's even additional resources that you can use whenever you exam preparation before you take your exam. There's also available resources that you can use for you to get to review for other resources available for Azure Developer Associate. Okay. So yeah, so this is the last slide for the Azure Developer Associate, the learning path for Microsoft Certified. So like I said, it could be an instructor-led, or it could be a self-paced online learning. So moving on, it's about really on how you invent with purpose. And as you can see on the slide, it is the white paper that we have on how you can upskill with Azure certifications. This is categorized into four. And first is secure from the ground up. Second is innovate with best-in-class applications. And third is manage hybrid cloud infrastructure. And the fourth is the support with data analytics. So whenever you are keen to pursue on data science, we have as well role-based certification that you can enroll in for free via online self online paced learning. And if you are keen to have on a hybrid cloud infrastructure, we have also as well for Azure admin, to Azure security, or even AVD specialty or SAP workloads. And we have as well for best in class applications for DevOps, for IoT developer, and even some of the fundamentals that we have for Azure fundamentals, for AI engineer, we have for data fundamentals, and a lot more. So these are just some of the examples that we have on how you can upscale with Azure certifications. So sharing with you some of the resources that you can get, you'll be able to access on. We have the Microsoft Learn, we have the Microsoft Practice Test, we have as well the certification posters for you to be able to see the learning path that you wanted. And we have also learning partners that could give you some insights on if you are keen to have an instructor-led training. And we have also support and certification support for MCP. And if you want to know more the updates about the latest certifications available, we have the Microsoft Learn newsletter, and we do have the Microsoft Learn Tech community for you to be able to get updates, the latest updates. So, and with these Azure Career Path and certifications, how does Microsoft help? How does Microsoft help our students, our professionals, whether you're a novice, a beginner, or a professional already? How do we help? So we actually have some platform. We always right lately the COVID-19, as you know, has created an economic crisis. meaning putting millions of people out of work. And as economies start to reopen and organizations of all sizes consider how best to work in a COVID-19 environment, ika nga, the new normal, right? And we anticipate the increased use of digital technology and therefore a stronger demand for certifications or skill set. So, what are those that we have that we could help you on? So, the first one is Microsoft Learn. So, it's a free online platform that you'll be able to use. We have 1,000 courses that you'll be able to get, even certifications. So, let me show you the website about it. So, this is the Microsoft Learn. You'll get different certifications from, it's not just for Azure, but also for Microsoft 365, for Dynamics, for Power Platform, for security, and a lot more. So from developer to administrator and a lot and functional consultant to engineer, there's really a lot that you'll be able to access on, and you'll be able to access it for free. You just have to need your Microsoft account, and then by just logging in and signing up, you'll be able to access on different learning paths and modules. And there's also some resources to help you on how to prepare for certification, which is very helpful as well. So, yeah. And like I said, we have this Microsoft Virtual Training Days. Before the pandemic, we used to have our trainings face to face, but since we are now in the new normal, we've transitioned to virtual training days. So in this training days, you'll be able to access different trainings with certification vouchers. Like I said, from Azure Fundamentals to AI Fundamentals to Data Fundamentals. And this is all for free. And once you complete the training, and for around 2 to 3 days, you'll get the certification voucher right away. So you'll be able to uh, schedule already your certification exam. And what's good about it is that you can take your exam at home. You're no longer required to go to a certification testing or to a testing center, but rather you'll be able to get your certification exam at your home, at your convention, at your convenience, and depends on what time is your availability. So you just have to register on that link, aka that ms slash FY22 MSPH events, for you to be able to get access on the Microsoft Virtual Training Days that we offer for everyone, whether you're a student, whether you are a professional or uh, a beginner when it comes to cloud computing. So, yup. So actually, that's the end of my presentations. For any questions, feel free to connect me at LinkedIn, or you can follow me on Twitter at Ian De Torres. So you can just search on me on LinkedIn, Ian De Torres. Then happy to connect with you. That's it. Back to you, Jonah and Fred.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ian, for that great presentation about Microsoft certifications and careers in Microsoft. I hope that our audience, our participants that are watching live right now, have learned a lot from you. And also, please don't forget the links that Ian shared about the certifications available. Yeah. I
Yeah.
myself I wanted to add that I myself love Microsoft certification. I've gone through AC 900 and 204, and I can feel that it's really beneficial to the point that I share about certifications at my workplace. So I can relate and agree so much with Ian. So I motivate all the audience there to 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 think of one of the certification path that was shared. Yes, Fred, do you have something?
Yeah. Hello. Hi to all our viewers. We have 54 viewers right now. Wow, that's a
Yes.
lot. Hello. And yeah, we would like to encourage you to take certifications like from Microsoft Azure, because it just not adds your technical skills, but it also boosts your confidence in your career path.
Yes.
I remember my first certification with my current company, and I was very thankful for that opportunity. Thanks, Ian. But by the way, you told us that you will be giving a raffle. Is that right? Grab
Voucher, I
voucher.
think.
Yeah. So
Yup, at the end of this session, for those who will be asking questions about certifications, we'll be giving out uh,
Yes.
Grab vouchers courtesy of Microsoft Philippines.
yeah,
Yes. So, yeah, that's great. We will be meeting and talking with Ian again later at the end, last session about panel discussion. So, prepare your questions for Ian to get some chances of vouchers from him
yeah.
and from Microsoft. All right. So let's thank you so much, Ian. And now let's welcome our next speaker, Fred. So our next speaker is Emil Pastor. He will be sharing about AI and ML in cloud. So Emil Pastor is a cloud solution architect for data and AI at Microsoft, and he's working for clients across the APAC region. He has a master degree in data science and a bachelor's degree in electronics engineering. And for the last 10 years, Emil has been a data analytics and machine learning consultant, enabling organization across the globe to be great in AI and ML and cloud. Let's welcome Emil on the stage. Hi, Emil.
Hi,
Hello.
Jonah. Hi, Fred. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
We're great. Thank you for being here, and we're happy to have you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure as well to be invited to share our knowledge in AI and ML and the rest of the Microsoft Cloud Computing Suite.
Yes. So you have the stage to share about AI and ML. Can you please share your presentation or screen?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
1 second.
An exciting topic, huh?
Mm.
I don't have any knowledge with AI and ML, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Yes. The presentation looks like a Christmas.
Because it's
Christmas.
September here. Yeah.
It's
1 second. Let's
It
see
makes me
this
feel
one.
September na, di ba? So
Yeah.
parang, yeah, it's Christmas is coming. Let's see. Let's try again. All right.
Okay.
It looks like it's
Awesome.
working great. Yeah, you have the stage. Thank you.
No problems. Thank you. All right. So good day, everyone. I would like to first introduce myself. So my name is Emil Pastor. I'm a cloud solutions architect for data and AI. And for today, I'm going to share with you how is Microsoft Azure making AI and ML real for everyone, right? Making it more accessible, democratizing AI and ML, because technology should help us improve our lives. It shouldn't be only for a specific group of people. So let me start by going back and building on from Ian's presentation about certification, right? So how do we usually learn during our certification, or when we do our certification? So as a human, we learn from our experiences, through readings, through an analog materials like books, as you can see, or through internet, right, by reading through to different websites, Microsoft, you have YouTube, etc. And by building on to that experience, we will be able to learn more and take it forward in terms of the next steps. So for instance, right, let's say I'm a real estate agent and I would like to share and predict house prices based on floor area. So how do I usually do that? So I can ask my friends, lean on my experience of my family, friends, and ask, like, based on the floor area, what's the usual size? What's the usual price in Philippine peso of this house given, let's say, a specific location? So by gathering those data and accumulating those experience represented by data, I will be able to get to a certain degree of accuracy in terms of how should I predict a house based on specific floor area, right? And by doing that, what happens is we just as we go along and gather more and more data, it means that our prediction will be more and more accurate, right, as time goes by. So with that, AI and ML, for us to do a prediction, is based upon the foundations of having a data, right? And let's go back, the span of 30 years. How does the data growth look like, right? We are accumulating tons of experience in the shape of data. So from the 90s, as you'll notice, the data that we've gathered comes from analog books, papers, and so on. And then during the next millennium, or from 2000s, it's shifting towards more digital, towards more internet connected through mobile and cloud. And that's why AI and ML becomes more powerful, because we produce more data. It means that we gather more experience and we'll be able to deliver better insights. So by delivering better insights or gathering more data, right, as I've shown in the previous slide, data is also becoming more complex. And that's the reason why we use AI and ML to help us accelerate generating those insights and prediction, rather than just looking into the graphs. So what are the common AI and ML or machine learning problems? Right. So commonly there are four. One is classification. Classification is if you're trying to answer a yes or no question. So for example, if I'm selling, let's say, a specific item to Jonah, will she get it or not? So that's a type of problem that we're solving in classification. Whereas for regression, if I'm selling, let's say, this bag, how much will Jonah get it? At what specific price? And that's a regression problem. And we also have recommendations. So based on, let's say, Jonah's buying history, what should I recommend her next? Or it can also be like an anomaly detection, wherein we're figuring out if something is wrong in the data. If there are some outliers or anything unusual. So with that, these are the types of problems that we're trying to solve in machine learning, and it's ever present, especially these days. So when you go shopping, it already provides you recommendations. It also, when you go, let's say, for example, to Facebook, sometimes, and also other devices, it can sometimes predict what will you do next, right? Because they've already gathered your data based on your past experiences. So other common problems that we solve, let's say, what product to recommend to Joe, predict when Sarah comes back after she shopped in a store, or what's the right discount to give, let's say, to this person for she to get the price, right? And these are the other AI and ML applications. So from sensor data analysis, predictive maintenance, even weather forecasting is considered an AI and ML application. And also, one of the most common these days is fraud detection, right? Especially some cyber attacks and so on. So these are just some of the AI and ML applications. And then going back, right? So how does Microsoft Azure help different data enthusiasts and businesses in their AI and ML journey? Understand that there are varying levels of skill sets across the spectrum, right? So our main goal is to have or to make AI and ML accessible to every enterprise data scientist, developer, information worker, consumer, and device anywhere in the world, regardless of your skill set. If you like to do some more hardcore programming, in Python, or you just want some sort of like a drag and drop type of experience. And that's something that we wanted to enable to our different types of audiences. And with that, so let me just provide you a structured approach on how Microsoft, what are the Microsoft's machine learning offering, right? So at the top, you have the machine learning algorithms, which are the best-in-class machine learning algorithms made by Microsoft over the last years. From the algorithm being used in Bing search, in Cortana, Xbox, Teams, Office 365. So we built machine learning algorithms and also use other open source machine learning algorithms to build applications out of the box. So these are just some of the applications that we have. So for example, Bing makes your prediction, or even Microsoft Teams to do transcription of the meeting, even HoloLens or Xbox. And then the next offering that we have is more to cater for modeling and operationalization of custom machine learning models. So this usually caters for data scientists and IT professionals. Right? So if you want to build your own custom machine learnings, this is how it looks like. So all you have to do is just do some drag and drop, and then it will be able to automatically build the machine learning on your behalf, right? Without doing as much code than usual. Then after that, after building or doing some machine learning modeling, the next challenge is, for you to be able to deploy it, making it more accessible to your end users or consumers. So this is where you have the API, or model as a web service. Okay, so with that, let me just do a quick demonstration of how it looks like using a machine learning, Azure machine learning. So I have a data set, right? So this is a diabetes data set. So you have different medical and socio-demographic variables, from pregnancies, glucose, diastolic blood pressure. And this data set contains the history of each patient's diagnosis, whether they have a diabetes or not. So on the left side, beside the age variable or age information, you have 1 and zeros. So 0 represents that the person or the patient is not diabetic, and 1 is the person is diabetic. So there are a couple of ways to do it in Azure Machine Learning. So on the left side, you can see the different features within Azure Machine Learning, from doing the actual modeling or authoring, right? From notebooks, automated machine learning, designer. I'll go into a bit more detail down the line. And we also have assets. So for us to be able to author machine learning models, you need a data set. You need a concept of experiment for you to be able to track your machine learning models. And of course, the actual model, be able to track the actual model, and the endpoint, the web endpoint of where we will deliver the prediction. And by having data, it's not enough that we just have data. It's also important that we have different resources to do the computation that will build the machine learning models. And that's the compute, data store, and other services, right? So by leveraging this data, how we will be able to build a machine learning model on top of this. So the first one that I wanted to share is, by having purely this data set, all we have to do is go to automated ML and just click new auto ML run. Click on our data set. And by clicking on this data set, you just need to choose an experiment. So think of an experiment as just a folder to track all of your machine learning model that will predict diabetes, or that will predict whether the patient has diabetes or not. And then the next thing that you need to do is just set the target column, diabetic, and then choose your compute cluster, or the machine where the machine learning model will be built. After that, you just click next. Azure ML is intelligent enough to be able to infer what type or machine learning problem type are we trying to do. So as you can see, it's suggesting to use classification, which it is. And then we can just press finish if we want to, or we can further configure it, like what's the primary metric. And for more details, all you need to do is just click on this so that it will provide you a guidance on what what's the best metric possible. Then you can also choose which algorithm you don't want to run for this particular model, or you can just run everything and let Azure choose on your behalf. How much is the training time, or how long it will run? Can be as by default 6 hours, or can be as low as like half an hour, then so on and so forth, even the number of concurrent machine learning models that will be built. So after that, just press finish, and you can go back, sit back and relax, and do something else whilst waiting for this model to be finished. And then I actually pre-made AutoML model. All right. And as you can see, it was able to build at least 54 models on our behalf by just doing those clicks. And then it also identified that the best possible model is a voting ensemble with a 0.99 AUC. And it also provides an explanation of why is it the best possible model. So let's just go and figure out what are the variables that contributes for this model to predict. So much of it is because of the pregnancy, the age, and the BMI. So these are the top 3 variables that contributes to the actual predictive power of the model. And then once you're happy with the model, all you need to do is just go back to the model itself and just press deploy. So that's how easy it is to be able to deploy the machine learning model, right? And this is very good for those who doesn't have much experience yet, using Python or any other machine learning language. But it also enables you immediately to deliver value and impact to your to the end users that you have in mind. Alternatively, we just don't only offer automated ML. We also have the designer, in which it's somewhere that sits between an automated ML and a notebook. So if you want to do some sort of like a drag and drop type of scenario, wherein you just need to provide your data set, what you wanted to do in your data set. In this example, you wanted to normalize, and then you want to split your data. It's basically it basically enables you to provide and customize your own flow on how you want to manage your data and build your model. Whereas the AutoML, you outsource everything to Azure Machine Learning to do on your behalf. And then for our friends who would like to do coding in Python, who's more into like considered as a hardcore data scientist, we also have notebooks. So this particular example represents what we did in AutoML and in the designer. So we have notebooks that basically performs all of the coding that the AutoML and the designer is doing, right? And it also deploys the actual service. So I will not go through this detail, but there is a GitHub that you can go through. Just type in the GitHub Azure Machine Learning samples. So it provides all the list of predefined notebooks created for you using this particular data set. All right. And then, by having this notebook, automated ML and designer, the next step is operationalizing. So a while ago, I've shared with you how we deployed the model. So this is how a deployed model looks like. So you basically get a web endpoint or a REST endpoint that does the scoring. And all you need to do to consume to be able to consume it is just go to consume. It provides sample codes. It's in C#, in Python, or in R on how you'll be able to do your predictions using your own data. All right. And then it also has a sample, a testing feature so that you can input your own data set. So this is an example of that. So just input all those values in these variables and just press test, and it automatically provides you the result. So with these variables, it's saying that this person is diabetes given this data, given this information. And on top of that, right, so we also have the experiments. So this is how we usually track experiments in Azure, so that we keep track of the progress of your model. because you just don't deploy it once. It consistently evolves over time as your data changes. All right. Then I think going back, right? So that's one thing that that's available within Microsoft. The next thing that I wanted to share is more towards the developers, right? So there are certain machine learning problems that's kind of repeated. So this is where we cater for the developers, and that's called cognitive services. It's already a pre-built API, similar to how we deploy, or how is it in once the machine learning model is deployed. So you will get this sort of API. So this is a cognitive service. So this is a sample of a cognitive service for computer vision. So you have an endpoint, and then you just need to supply the key and the region. By supplying that, you don't need to build machine learning, your own model from scratch. You can basically just use it and use it in your own application. So what's cognitive service, or what are the features available in cognitive services? So one is personalization through perceptual intelligence. So we have in cognitive service, we have 5 major pre-built AI. So we have the vision, speech, language, knowledge, search. So what are the individual features amongst this? So we have computer vision API. So this is more for doing object detection, face or emotion, or even real-time video. We also have speech for speech recognition. Also have language for text analytics, Bing Speller, linguistic analysis, language translator. We also have knowledge, more for recommendation, and of course, search using Bing's search algorithm. So these are the different services that we have pre-built for within Azure Cognitive Service. So as an example, we have face APIs to do face detection, verification, also for similarity, right? Face searching, and you can use this to build your own application. So we have some customers who use face API to do verification of their employees, and the other example is speech API to do voice recognition, or even do text to speech, or even speech to text. And of course, we also have text analytics to do sentiment analysis, key phrase extraction, topic detection, and language detection. So I'll share with you later on a demonstration of how a sentiment analysis looks like. Then understanding a customer sentiment as well. So based on the comments, let's say in your e-commerce website, are people happy with the service? When should I escalate an issue, or what the customer is talking about? So it's important to be able to gather those information so that we can improve our service, and we know what else we can do better for our customer. And also, we also have a service of understanding more of our customers based on their past behaviors. So this is where recommendations, so increase in catalog discovery or personalization of their experience in your product or services. So these are just some of the features available within Azure Cognitive Service. So I'll just do a quick demonstration of how Azure Cognitive Service looks like. So the first one is more on sentiment analysis. So within sentiment analysis, let's just go through a Power BI dashboard. So this is a dashboard, and what it does is it's reading these comments coming in from the data set, and then based on the comments, it tries to measure the sentiment of the user. So in this example, as you can see, the user is not very happy. That's why the sentiment score is very low. It's quite red. And then the above, the customer is super happy. That's why it's green. And at the back of it, it's actually just using this similar to this endpoint. So I'm just calling an endpoint and supplying that data. And then in return, it provides the score for our customers. And then just conscious of time. So I have another example wherein you can you can actually download it and you can play around as well. So this is called Intelligent Kiosk. So this provides all the cognitive services available in Azure, from anomaly detection, vision API, speech to text, even form recognizer. So let's just do one example about custom vision. So let's say I want to get a description of this photo. So I'm sending this data right now to Azure, and then in return, it will analyze different information about the photo, from the description itself, wherein people walking on subway with 32% confidence interval. And then we also have different tags or different objects that Azure Cognitive Service identified, and so on. So even the text has also been identified here. And if there's a person, it will also identify if there's any person available. So feel free to download this. Just type in your search engine Intelligent Kiosk, and you'll be able to play around other cognitive services available in Azure. All right. With that, I would just like to say thank you again to Ulap for inviting me here, and yeah, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. And just remember that these days data is very important, right? Remember when we were younger, we only have few options on TV on which channels that we wanted to watch, but these days we have a different service. We have television streaming service like Netflix. So there's so much choices, and then by having that so much choices, actually AI and ML sometimes helps us provide by putting some recommendations. So thank you very much.
Hi, thank you so much, Emil, for that great session about AI and ML. It was good to mention me as an example for data sets. So if I had ML and AI in my computer, I think it had a lot of data sets for online shopping already. All right. Thank you so much. I hope that our audience there have learned a lot from your session, and feel free to contact Emil if you have questions related to machine learning and AI. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's introduce our next speaker, Fred.
Yeah. So next up is a technical demo from Philip Domingo. Philip Domingo currently works as a cloud solution architect at Microsoft, where he closely works with different enterprise and public sector customers in the Philippines to help them bring their solutions to the cloud and help them make the most out of Azure. So let's all welcome Philip Domingo on stage.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Philip.
Hi, Philip.
Hello, kumusta? Thank you for joining us
Good.
today, and we're excited to see Azure in action with your technical demo with Azure Static Apps in 20 minutes. That's like a speed demo.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. How are you
Thanks for
today?
having me here also. I'm good. So I just actually I finally had my first dose of vaccination last week. So,
Good.
Okay. Yes. That's great. Okay, we'll give you the stage. Let me just add your presentation on the screen. All right. And thank you.
All right. So thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day. So for this session, we're going to be talking all about Azure. Specifically, as mentioned earlier, I'm going to be talking about one of the kind of new services in Azure that was made recently, generally available recently, which is Azure Static Web Apps. So this is a service that I personally just recently started using as well. So I'm going to be sharing to you how you can use this, where I'm using this right now, and why would you even, why does this service would even make sense for you? And as you can see here, given that our kind of like theme for this session is a technical demo, I didn't really prepare any PowerPoint slide, as everything that we're going to be doing here is going to be live demo. Okay, so I wanted to start off first with Azure Static Web Apps. With what is Azure Static Web App? So as you can see here, Azure Static Web App is like what I mentioned earlier, is a new service in Azure that was made generally available. So this is something that is already okay to be used for production. And Azure Static Web App is a service that you would probably want to consider when you're building static contents. So, primarily if you're building front-end applications with single page applications approach, or SPA, right? Because, when you're using single page application, this is where you would be most likely using certain frameworks like AngularJS, like what you're seeing here, AngularJS, React.js, whatever framework there is, maybe even, Blazor or Flutter, in where these frameworks allows you to create a single page application with a pure HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So, static content, and at the same time, in where your backend, if ever there is, will be on a separate server that is running as an API that that could be using any type of server side framework. So if you're doing static web app, or rather single page application approach, like what I mentioned earlier, static web app is one of those services that you would want to consider using in Azure. So in my case, where I'm currently using Azure Static Web App is on my personal website. So as you can see here, kind of like a shameless plug as well, but this is my personal website. This is where I write my blog posts based from my learning that I have either from work or from whatever pet projects that I'm currently working on. So everything that you're seeing here, all of the content, all the assets, where this is running from, everything is in Azure. And just to give you some idea where Azure Static Web App comes in here, let me just give you some background on the architecture of my website. So in my case, in my personal website, I'm using this, what we call as Jamstack approach, in where on the left-hand side, I'm using this virtual machine in where it's running Ghost CMS. So Ghost CMS is an open source CMS based on Node.js. I'm primarily using Ghost as a headless CMS. So this is where I would typically write my blog post, whatever I would feel like to, but it's been more than half a year since I last updated my personal website with a new blog post, unfortunately. And then what happens here is, as soon as I'm done with the blog post and I wanted to publish that content to the end users, to the public, what I'm doing here is I have a DevOps pipeline. All right. So in this DevOps pipeline, inside the source code, what I'm using is a tool, is a JavaScript framework. Oops, it looks a bit ugly. It's a JavaScript framework called Gatsby.js. What's Gatsby.js? Gatsby.js is a static site framework that I'm currently using to convert the content of my CMS into static files. Meaning to say, using this Gatsby.js, what it will do, based from the blog post that I published on this CMS, it will fetch all the content that I just published here via HTTP request. And then upon fetching all the content that I have here, is that what Gatsby.js will do is it will be generating a static file of pure HTML, CSS, JavaScript based from the content of my CMS. And then previously, I was using the static site feature or static site hosting of storage account to host my personal website in a serverless way. So previously, what I was doing is I'm using Azure Storage Account and then CDN to serve my website to the public. So what I just recently did here is I removed both of this. So this is now both removed, and I replaced them with just static web app. So what I'm gonna do for this demo is so right now, this website that I just shared earlier is already running in static web apps. But what I'm gonna do, since we're gonna be doing a technical demo, I'm gonna be creating a new version of static web app. And then what I will do is on my DevOps pipeline, I will be pointing my deployment to this new static web app that we will be deploying instead, just so at least you would see how to provision it and then how you can deploy into it. Okay, and then later on, I will talk more about why this would make sense for you. So again, for now, we'll just focus first on the how. Okay, so going back to I'm now going to go to my Azure portal. So if you want to provision static web app, of course, you need to have an Azure subscription. And then once you have an Azure subscription, you can just go to the marketplace and search for static web app. From here, we should be able to see this result, static web app from Microsoft. I'm gonna click create. Oops, where is it now? I accidentally pressed escape. Create static web app. And then from here, let's just put some resource group. And then here for the name, so just wanted to just an FYI in the name, because typically on other services that you would be using, like Azure App Service or storage account, usually the name that you will be putting here will be the same name that will be used as the URL endpoint of your app service, for example, with just in where Azure will just be appending it with .azurewebsites.net, right? So typically that's how other Azure services work. But in static web apps, the name that we will be putting here is just a name. It's just a name of the resource. It has nothing to do with the URL with the default URL that will be generated after provisioning. Okay. So for now, I'm just gonna add any name here. And then on the hosting plan, there's an option to use either free or standard, this is the one that is paid. For now, this is what I'm gonna be using. And then for the region, so just wanted to emphasize here that the region that is being showed that is being asked here is the region in where Azure functions and staging environment will be deployed. Why am I saying this? Because Azure Static Web App itself is a service that is globally distributed. So just like CDN, upon provisioning it, the CDN service will be available to all the, globally. It will be globally distributed within the Microsoft Azure regions. So same way with Azure Static Web App. So you technically in Azure Static Web App, you don't really need to select. It's already globally distributed. Main reason why this is just asking for a region is where the managed Azure function will be deployed into this region, and then the staging environment, which I'll be talking more about later on if we have more time. But for now, I'll just choose what's closest in the Philippines, which is East Asia. And then next one is it's actually asking for the source, meaning when we say source, this is the source. This is where our repository is sitting in. So you can either use GitHub, but in my case, just like what I've shown on what my Azure environment looks like, I'm currently using Azure DevOps. So instead of using GitHub, I'm going to be using other. And right now, I think Azure Static Web Apps, in terms of deployment, it only supports either using GitHub Actions or Azure DevOps Pipeline. If you're using GitLab or something like that, I don't think, as far as I know, I could be wrong, but as far as I know, those are not yet supported. So for now, we're only limited to using either Azure DevOps or GitHub. But most likely GitHub will already suffice. So from here, I'll be creating it. So one of the things that you would also notice, is that it didn't ask for any compute, meaning, how many core do I need, how many RAM, because Azure Static Web App itself is already serverless. So meaning, the cloud provider, in this case, Azure, will be the one to provide the computing power that you need. So it will be the one to automatically scale for you based on the number of requests that you're going to get, based on the traffic that you're going to be getting into this website. Okay, so now it's already created. So as you can see, it was created in just like less than a minute. So if I click browse, this is the default page of the static web app. This is the default template. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get this manage deployment token. So I'm just going to copy this. And for now, I'm going to be updating my DevOps pipeline. For now, I'll just hard code this for the sake of this demo and then save. So it will start the deployment because in my DevOps pipeline, it takes about average of 3 minutes to finish the deployment. So at least while we're waiting for around 3 minutes, I'll do some little bit of talking. Okay. So now that it is already deploying, what's happening now is the base. If I go back here, what I just did is I created a static web app here. And then what I did is I took the token from this static web app and then I updated my Azure DevOps pipeline in where what it's doing now is it's now currently trying to fetch the content on my CMS, which is a separate website. This is my admin website. And then it's now fetching the content of this one and now generating static files that will be then deployed into this one. So that is what's happening right now. Okay, so while this is happening, let me just go back to Azure Static Web App in the Azure portal. So like what I mentioned, this is how it looks like. Okay, so very straightforward. And if we just go around here, well, actually, while waiting, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is one of the reasons why I replaced this approach. I replaced both of these services into static web apps. So one of the reasons for this is SSL certificate. No, so I have SSL certificate. Apologies for the very beautiful handwriting, but SSL certificate. What I mean about this is in certain services in Azure, like Azure CDN, Azure App Service, Azure Front Door. If you're familiar with those services already provides a free SSL certificate. Okay, and that's one of the things that that's I was previously using in my website. But one of the limitation or one of the challenges that I face, especially that I'm such a cheapskate into my personal website because I don't, I didn't really want to spend a lot of money here. In fact, my monthly consumption for this website that is running in Azure is just around average of $10 or less per month. So it's really that cheap. So I don't want to spend around 3,000 pesos at least for an SSL certificate every year. So I'm really that cheap, no? So one of the challenges that I had when I was using the CDN is that, yes, it provide free SSL certificate, but one of the limitation is that these services like CDN only provides free SSL certificate for subdomain. So if I'm using a root domain, so like in my case, yes, this website uses a subdomain called www.prtdomingo.com, but of course, in terms of user experience, it's not really like all users will just, directly go to www.prtdomingo.com. Some of them might be going directly to https://prtdomingo.com. Now, when those things are happening, because CDN can't provide as a free SSL certificate for root domain, I'm getting this HTTP or rather website not secured because I don't have any SSL certificate that I can get for that one unless I pay for it, which I don't want to. No. So in static web apps, one of the things that I really like about this is that yes, it still provide a free SSL certificate for me, as in free forever as long as I'm using this service similar to CDN. But one of the main differences is that it also supports even root domain as well. So even if you go right now, go to https://prtdomingo.com, you will see that you're not going to be getting any website not secured anymore. So that's one of the things that I really like. And then number two, one of the challenges that I've had before, because usually when you're using serverless, when you're doing a serverless approach, one of the things that you don't have compared to the services that has services, or rather that has servers, are web config, nginx, or htaccess, right? And where this is where you would usually do HTTP to HTTPS redirection, whatever redirection, maybe some global headers like HSTS. So before on the CDN, the profile that I was using here is the premium Verizon profile in Azure CDN. For me, it was really difficult for me to use because there's really not a lot of good documentation. So after a year, there was not really a new profile, but there was a new feature on the Microsoft profile of the Azure CDN for rules engine that allows me to do that. So, took a little bit of learning curve still, not that complicated, but, I tried to understand how it also worked. But from there, I was able to achieve the same thing. But in static web apps, a lot of those configuration are already very straightforward. So I think it's already been 3 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check our release pipeline. So as you can see here, it's already deployed. Now, what I will do is if I refresh this, as you can see, this is the same personal website that I've shared earlier, right? But for the meantime, I didn't put any custom domain into this one. But just to give you some idea on how it looks like, if ever you want to put a custom domain in your static web apps, just to show you the one that I'm currently using for production, if I go here on custom domain, so it's this one, right? So I've in my DNS record, I've used my root domain, which is prtdomingo.com, and then my subdomain www.prtdomingo.com. And again, as mentioned, both of this is already, Azure Static Web Apps already provide a free SSL certificate. And like what I mentioned earlier, in terms of the routing, like HTTP to HTTPS redirection or root domain to www.domain redirection, The only thing that I have to do for Azure Static Web App to have that kind of behavior is I'll just have to click this domain, whatever domain that I want it to use as default, and then I click this set default. And then that's it. So as you can see here, it's showing that this www.prtdomingo.com is my default domain. And what it will do, if my customers go here, it will automatically redirect my website. The users will automatically be redirected here. So it's very convenient for me compared to the other services that I've used. Though, again, it's not that complicated, but at least here, it's one of the things that I really like. Now, to just discuss a little bit on the deployment, because right now, as you can see, you can even browse this if you can memorize this URL endpoint. In terms of the deployment, one of the things to keep in mind is that there's no way to do a deployment for static web apps manually, right? Because let's say, for example, you're using a virtual machine, you're using an app service, or whatever that is, or maybe even Kubernetes. There's a way to deploy it manually, right? Even without using DevOps. In this case, the only way for you to do the deployment is to DevOps. So like what I've shown earlier, you can only either use GitHub or Azure DevOps. Hence the importance of this management deployment token. Okay? So just to give you a bit of an idea on how it worked, or what we did on the deployment piece, it's actually very straightforward, no? So it's actually more simpler as well in GitHub, because Azure Static Web App will be the one to automatically generate that GitHub actions for you. Whereas in this case, since I'm using Azure DevOps, I created it manually. So just to give you some idea, this is like the step on how to do a deployment for static web apps. So the only thing that you need to define here is that number one, where is the location, the folder of your application based on the repository that you have. If ever you have certain build commands, so if you're using maybe Blazor, Flutter, if there's a special certain build commands that you wanted to run, the output, like in my case, since I'm automatically generating a file, this is where I would usually put my like this one, the public folder location, in where this contains the static files that was automatically generated. And then for it to know, or for Azure DevOps to know, or maybe even GitHub as well to know where they will be deploying the application, you just need to provide the management deployment token that I've copy pasted earlier on the Azure portal. So you just need to put it here, and then from here, it will be able to deploy it. Now, one last thing that I wanted to emphasize here that I kind of like, but I'm not yet using in Azure Static Web Apps, is that there's this what they call as Oryx application build. What does Oryx application build? If you look at my Azure pipeline here, these are the steps that I'm doing whenever I would build and deploy my code. I have all these 3 steps: install Node.js, install Gatsby.js, and then build the Gatsby, which this will be the one to generate the static files of my website. If you're using just the built-in, the Oryx application build of static web apps, what it will do is that it can automatically detect the language that you're using and the framework that you're using. So in my case, it was already able to detect the Gatsby.js that I'm using, and then I'm also using JavaScript for this one. And what it will do implicitly is that it will already do all these steps that I'm explicitly doing right now. So you don't really need to define it anymore. The reason why right now I'm not using it at the moment is that, as far as I know, because one of the things that I think cannot be controlled here yet is the version. Because when I tried to use the Oryx application build, it automatically used the latest version of Node.js, and it automatically used the latest version of Node.js. And for me, because from here, I would prefer to always explicitly define the version of the tools that I'm using, because what if, for example, there's a new version of Node.js that could have some sort of breaking changes, so it could affect the build performance of my DevOps pipeline. It could crash, it could fail. So just to be safe, I'm not using that for now. Okay, so that's one of the things that I really like about this, and that's it for now. As you can see, very straightforward on how to deploy it, very easy to provision. It only took me around 1 minute, and then In terms of GitHub, it's actually a lot easier. This one looks a bit more complicated because I did it manually, but in GitHub, like what I mentioned earlier, it's something that GitHub or Azure Static Web App will automatically create for you, will generate for you. So you don't really need to think about it, especially if you're not yet familiar with DevOps or certain tools like GitHub Actions. So last thing I wanted to share before I end is that if you want to know more about this, because there's really a lot of things, no, that you can explore into this one. So I'm 1 minute overtime now, but if you want to know more about this, you can just check the official documentation of Microsoft for Azure Static Web Apps, or just like what Ian mentioned earlier, you can go to MS Learn, in where this is very useful, especially if you don't have an Azure subscription yet, but you want to get your hands on to this one. So at least this would give you a little bit of hands on into Azure, even if you don't have an Azure subscription yet. With that, this ends my very quick technical demo. I hope there's something that you're able to take away from it. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you so much, Philip, for that great Super Azure demo. Yes, you really
Thank you.
compressed it, the technical demo, and it was quick. And I myself would like to learn more about Azure Static Web Apps, especially with serverless. So I will be connecting with you, and maybe we can collaborate and learn. Yes, I hope the audience have learned a lot about Azure Static Web Apps as well. And as mentioned, feel free to check Microsoft Learn to learn more about the learning path for Azure Static Web Apps. And also check out Philip Domingo's website. It's super fast. I checked it, and thanks to the power of it. Thanks to Azure. All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. And I think we're over time, so we will introduce our next speaker, Fred. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, Varshukus, go ahead.
So, next up is an introduction about Luna Academy. We have Alec Velasco, who is happy to share us about this online educational platform.
Yes. So,
Alec?
that's Alec Velasco is from Luna Academy. Let's just welcome him directly to the stage. Hi, Alec.
Hi, Jonah. Hi, Fred.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, we're great, and we're very happy to have you here today. Thank you. Yes.
Likewise, thank you for having me as well. All right. So, do we start right now? So I could
we can.
my screen.
Please share your screen. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. Hold on 1 second. All right.
Let's see.
Is it showing right now?
Yeah. Okay. Let's. The stage is yours.
Perfect. So, first off, I want to thank the ULAP team for having Luna Academy here and creating this partnership between Luna and ULAP. And then to all our attendees here, very insightful talks from Emil and Philip and the others who were ahead. No, so what I'll be doing is introducing Luna Academy to everybody. So again, my name is Alec Velasco. I'm the partnerships lead for Luna Academy, and I didn't know that everybody's just wearing a shirt, but I really wanted to wear a coat since we're all working from home. I miss wearing suits and attending events like this, and representing companies as well. So first off, what is Luna Academy? Where it came from? Who's the mother company behind it? So we are a company under Udena group of companies. So as we all know, Udena is a pretty big company. We own Phoenix Petroleum. We own developments in Clark, Calaca, and even the Udena Tower in BGC. We have investments in Malampaya Energy. And we even own 888, which is Conti's and Wendy's. We have shipping and logistics company under Chelsea. We have Andersson colleges. I'm sure some of us are familiar here, even the Microsoft team. We host their culinary courses as well on the platform. And then we have some resorts and gaming for tourism, in Lapu-Lapu, Donatello, and even in Clark again. So Luna Academy, if you zoom in, it's going to be in D2CME. What is D2CME? It's the Information and Communications Technology of Udena. So if I zoom in, hold on one second. There you go. So there are 5 companies under D2CME. Number 1 would be Unalytics. Number 2 would be Unatech. And then we have Acuity Global. And then, of course, as we know, it's the third-party telco that right now that's making noise in the Philippines, who's also our sister company, which is Dito Telco. And then, of course, Luna Academy, which is the online learning platform of Udena. So what is Luna Academy? It's an online learning platform where we provide high-quality, industry-relevant, widely accessible, future-ready skills training with globally recognized partners tailored to the Philippine market. We also provide non-tech courses offerings such as digital marketing, HR management, leadership courses, engineering courses, and even culinary courses. How did Duna Academy come about? It's a joint venture between a top edtech company in the Philippines called CloudSwift, and of course, one of the largest business conglomerates in the country, which is Dito CME under Udena, which is Udena's communications, media, entertainment company. And as for the others who's wondering what is CloudSwift, a few weeks back, Ulap, you had the CEO of CloudSwift, who was a very good friend of ours and our colleague Dan, who came in here and did his talk about CloudSwift, right? So it's a joint venture, it's a brainchild of CloudSwift and Dito CME. So what is our vision and mission? It all started with an advocacy, just like Ulap and what you guys are doing. Really love what Ulap is doing. So our vision is to really be the number one choice for professional upskilling and credentialing training provided in the country that will help every Filipino learner to succeed in the 21st century economy. Our mission is to provide high impact, relevant, affordable, future ready skills using effective training modalities needed by the new economy. So, as I said, we run through advocacy. We run with where our core is advocacy. Why? Because we're badly hit with the pandemic. Even now we're experiencing it really bad. It's now even closer to our homes as well. I'm sure some people here, have experienced it really close to their home. So this Luna Academy came about by, with one goal to really help out the Filipinos who was affected by the pandemic in terms of, unemployment, underemployment, people who need the upskilling, for professionals who want to transition, because, some companies, as we know, closed down, and, the roles that the employees had were not that relevant anymore when they went to a different company. So we want to be able to provide the skills training that they need, so they can transition from one industry to another, So who are our key partners right now? Even though we're a startup company, we are very aggressive. So of course, number one would be our mother company, Udena. We have Econnect Pilipinas. We have UnaPay, which is our payment portal. We have Dito Telco, which is the third-party telco in the Philippines. And we also have key partnerships with Penn Brothers, who is a global offshoring company, as we know. JobStreet Philippines, which is a very key partner for us as well, because we also help our learners, get acquired by these employers who's looking for certain specialties and credentials. And we also have partners with some LGUs, and of course we have ulap.org. For our content partners, initially when we launched Luna Academy, we had the big three, as we call it in the tech industry, right? So we had Microsoft, which is brought in by cloud. We have Amazon, which is the AWS courses, and we have Alibaba Cloud. And now we just recently signed with DDLS. For the people who doesn't know it, DDLS is a Google Cloud provider as well. So we're going to be having some courses from them as well on the platform. But since we know that there's a lot of demand for different courses as well in the Philippines and the Philippine market, so we also have certified digital marketing for digital marketing courses. We have ExecuServe for HR management courses. We have Sage for entrepreneur courses, and then we have Andersson for culinary courses. We have LJMB for leadership courses by Sir Louis Mabanta. We have electrical engineering courses from the group of IIEE. So we partner with associations as well, across all industries who we think is going to be relevant the next coming years for the people who needs the upskilling. So already available on the platform, if you go to the platform right now, of course, is again the tech courses from Microsoft. So based on data and research as well, the top 5 in-demand jobs in the Philippines right now would be data analyst, data scientist, AI engineer, software dev, and DevOps. So that's where we're very fortunate that we have Microsoft on board as well, and we have like 100 plus courses from them answers all these that provides all these in-demand tech courses, in the market. But again, we're still expanding our catalog or course categories because we've been listening to different people in different industry what they're looking for specifically. So for soft skills, the next based on World Economic Forum 2020, the soft skills that will the people that really needs in the next 5 years would be collaboration, leadership, and supervisory, written and verbal comms, negotiation, critical thinking, decision making, cognitive problem solving, creativity, innovation, emotional intelligence. And of course, for the non-tech skills that we have on the platform, we have entrepreneurialism, we have e-commerce, we have language, we have hospitality, we have finance, health and wellness, marketing, design thinking, and project management. So the list can go on. But the good thing is we're starting it now. It's going to be created by the Filipinos and it's going to be for the Filipinos. So how do we help? Once we talk to institutions or partners or corporates or even organizations like ULAP, number one would be the internal upskilling. We want to be the marketplace. We want to be, as we call it internally, the Coursera of the Philippines. But we will compete. We will have global standards just like Coursera, but we want to be able to just provide this to the Filipinos and to the Philippine market. We will market it nationwide, regardless if you are in a remote area. But as long as you have internet and a browser, you don't really need really extreme hardware to access and get credentialing courses. So we want to provide that internal upskilling for everybody. So number two would be digitalized training materials, because we've talked to some of our partners like the LGUs. They already have content on their hand, but they still rely on traditional way of teaching things. Some still rely on paper materials. They haven't digitalized it. So we help onboard it on the platform. We digitalize it. We serve as the platform as well, and we host their courses on the platform. So even if a certain LGU in a certain area has this special kind of content, we could still help and market it to different areas in the Philippines. Third would be the OJT program, because since we are a learning platform, we deal with a lot of students. So it's a mix of professionals and students. So for the students, just like ulap.org, that's why we're very aligned. We actually help with the OJT programs as well, since we already have a lot of companies under Udena. So we try to help in any kind of way or form that the company can provide. So OJT program would be on top of our list as well. Number 4 would be job matching program. So we're completing the whole journey, right? So we're not just providing courses for you to upskill yourself, learn the Microsoft courses and all that, but if you're an unemployed person or if you're a student already packed with all these credentialing courses, we could help you with the OJT program. We could talk to these companies and see if they have needs or requirements, and then we could get your profile on the platform and get your consent and say, hey, this company is looking for your type of skills and your credentials from Microsoft. Would you be interested in joining the OJT program? And then for job matching, of course, again, like I said, we're badly hit by the pandemic. So for people who are really interested or unemployed and really seeking, that's why we have this partnership with Penn Brothers and Job Street. So we help with that as well. Since already in Udena, again, we have like more than 50 companies already. So might as well maximize it, right? So we're not just gonna, again, we provide the courses on the platform. We help you get internships, and 3, help you land a job. Hopefully we provide the whole journey to all our learners in the platform. So basically, to sum it up, we want to help you learn. We want to help you adapt, to have that future ready skill. And then we want to help inspire the Filipinos, that it's not the end for them despite the pandemic. We just got to keep moving forward. We just got to keep pushing. You got to just wheel through it, right? So, and that's what we're all doing here now, right? So the Luna Academy's website, it's already up and running. It's all live. All the Microsoft courses are there already. So the website is on the bottom part. It's just, you just type into your browser learn.lunaacademy.ph, and automatically you will be greeted by the main site of Luna. And you can automatically browse the courses, even though if you're not logged in yet, or if you don't have If you haven't registered yet, it's completely fine. But what's good about this is we made a single sign on, which makes it easier for users to sign in the platform. No, so how does it work? You just use your Facebook, Gmail, and LinkedIn, and automatically you will have a profile with Luna Academy. So earlier, a speaker earlier once said that they want you to be able to learn anywhere, right? As long as you have internet. So that's what our goal. That's our goal as well. Internet, computer, tablet. You just go to Luna, access the courses from Microsoft and all the other contents that might get your interest. So by just using your Facebook, Gmail, and LinkedIn. So if you if once you log in and you browse the website, you could already see just a sample of course bundles or track courses from Microsoft already. Feel free to browse through it and click through it. It's all live on the platform already. Okay. And then actually that sums up my introduction with Luna Academy. So this is a bit spontaneous. So Fred, we're gonna be giving away how many attendees do we have right now? We have about 50 plus, right? Even the speakers. So
Yes. Hi. Yeah. We
yeah,
have, I believe, about more than 50 speakers, and we have four audience. We have
yeah.
52, I think, live right now,
All right.
and we have four speakers, including yourself.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right. So, just to loosen up our weekend as well, we want to give, like I said, we want to learn and we want to help learn, adapt, and inspire. And just like Ulap, we care for the Filipino people. We want to provide this platform. So, a surprise gift for all the learners and even the speakers, if they want to, go to the platform, we will be giving away vouchers as well for all the attendees and the speakers. No. So, what I just need from Ulap is probably the emails and the contact information of all our attendees here, so we could send over the vouchers, or if we could send it through Ulap, then Ulap can send it to our attendees, or we could do it whatever way we could discuss after this. Fred, Jonah, right? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
um let's do this. So we'll give out vouchers. Feel free to register first so you could use that voucher in Luna Academy, and enjoy, because continuously we're expanding our platform. We're expanding the courses, the content. You'll never know what you could stumble upon in Luna Academy. So thank you for
Yes.
again, thank you for having me, and I hope everybody gets the gist and the main idea of Luna, that it's for the Filipinos and by the Filipinos as well. So thank
Yes,
you.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Velasco, for the great presentation. I really love and like the vision that you have for our fellow citizens in the Philippines. And thank you for partnering with ulap.org. So we're happy. So yeah, we would like you to stay on the line, because up next is our panel discussion. Maybe we should introduce we have someone else joining us in the panel discussion. Maybe Fred can introduce him before we
Yeah.
bring in everyone.
So we will be having Mr. Jess Onyate, who is a Master of Science in Computer Science graduate of the Graduate Programs Division of the College of Computer Studies at the Ateneo de Naga University. He is currently a faculty member of the College of Computer Studies in Camarines Sur. And prior to joining the College of Computer Studies, he also worked as a technical support staff in the CSPC Institutional Planning Office and a Science Research Assistant in the e-governance project of CSPC and DOST PCI EERD. So let's all welcome our guest speaker with Mr. Jess Onyate.
Yes, let's welcome Jess. Welcome, Jess, Philip,
Hello,
and
everyone.
Ian. Yes, and let's see, Emil. Emil is hopefully it's there. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I like it when it's
Okay.
like lots of people. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for the great sessions that you presented to our audience today. It was really a lot of knowledge. And yes, so We will be having a panel discussions related to Azure, and we have prepared some questions. And let's see if we have some questions. So far, we don't have any questions from the audience. But our first question for panel discussion is that this is for Emil, Philip, and Ian that's familiar in working with Azure technologies. Why do you think that Azure is an amazing cloud technology? Who wants to go first? Who wants to go first? I don't know.
I can go first.
Yeah. Okay. Sino
I'll
next
go
go for
first.
us, Emil? Yeah. Go ahead, Emil.
Yeah. I think it's not just Azure that's great in terms of technology, but I think Microsoft is great as a technology because it doesn't only cater for a specific problem, right? So it's thinking more on the bigger picture of how does cloud computing, related to productivity tools like Office 365 and even business applications. So I think that's one key differentiator of Azure, the integrations amongst, different services that we have within the cloud and within Microsoft.
Yes. Thank you. I agree with you. How about you, Ian? Do you have what do you think
Yep,
that
I
Azure is a
agree.
main technology?
Yep, I agree with Emil. That's it's not only Azure, but Microsoft as a whole is really something that, and I think it really revolves around on how the mission of Microsoft that we empower everyone to do more and achieve more with the technology that we have. And it's really not about the company, it's about how we help the community to innovate themselves and how to uh, create solutions that could help the community. So I think why Azure is really one of the best cloud computing platform right now that can really cater either students or professionals that can really cater the solutions needed and stay ahead of the curve as well. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Now that we talked about community, we have actually a question from an audience before we get the insights of Philip. Let's see, let's ask. This is probably a question for Ian that talks about community in the Philippines. Do you have an official Azure Facebook community group in the Philippines? Do you know, any
Yup.
of you knows? Hmm?
Yep, thanks for that, JV. Actually, we do have two groups of Azure Facebook community. You can search the Azure User Group Manila uh, and also Azure Pilipinas. So they are one
Yes.
of the communities that we have for Azure. Also, there's also some of the communities that also talk about Azure. We have programmer code posting. We do have the mobile.net developers PH and Finug and even DevCon. So they're one of the partner communities that really some of them talks about Azure as well.
Yes, thank you so much. And now it's time for Philip to answer our panel question. Why do you think Azure is the best or amazing technology as a developer or as a programmer or what you do? Yes.
I really have to think a good answer, especially that we're working for Microsoft. But for me, the reason why, one of the things that I really like about Azure personally is that even though it's a cloud computing platform, it's a cloud computing, solution, it's not only focused on cloud, in the cloud. Because, if you think about it, especially like in my case, working with lots of customers, especially enterprise and public sector customers in the Philippines, if you look at the organizations that I've worked with, especially the big ones, it's not like, all of them are just going to move everything in the cloud, right? Especially for banks, their core banking system. It's not like in day one or in just like a year or so, they'll be moving everything into the cloud. There are still certain scenarios in where they would put some workloads still on premises. So I think and I've seen this is where Microsoft Azure is really good at compared to other clouds is when it comes to hybrid setup in where you have Azure, you have on premises, or even you're even using other cloud providers where you have a multi-cloud approach. So for me, that's my thoughts on that one.
Yes, thank you so much. I can relate to that. I'm also a software developer and I love developing technologies with Microsoft Azure because it doesn't just like let you explore technologies that are like moderns, both in on-premise and hybrid, but also it improves your skills. That is really in demand these days. Thank you so much for that. And now we also have a question to Jess and Alec. Do you want to ask that question, Fred?
Yeah, sure. So, why do you think that students or professionals need to upskill in Azure, and what is the perspective of the academe and professionals on cloud computing and upskilling? Yeah, Alec.
Yeah, Fred. Yeah. Based on our studies and based on our partners that we talk to, even the higher education institutions, um, it is the future. Microsoft courses, these credentialing courses. Like I said on my slides earlier, the top five in demand are data analysts, data scientists, the AI engineering, right? So, some schools right now are advanced, and some are even making it part of their curriculums already, right? So it's either you have to adapt, like I've been saying, you have to adapt or you're going to be left behind. So it's very key right now that we strategically position ourselves. It's better to always just be ready, in case we really shift majority of the demand of the employers now could be leaning towards to acquiring these specialists that finished Microsoft courses and are certified in Microsoft Azure and all that. So yep, this is based real time on the people who we talk to, the organizations, and even the higher education institutions that we talk to. It's a really, they see the future, and it's the future is actually tomorrow. So anytime soon, it's gonna take off. It is taking off the past few years. So it's just taking time for us in the Philippines, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So yep.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Alec, I mean, um, Jess, how about you? Why do you think we need to upskill in Azure or cloud?
Actually, in the academic setting, we are currently keeping up with the trends on the technology. So one of which is Microsoft Azure, and I think it would be a great um, platform or tools that the student can learn um, to especially making them um, or making them be equipped with this tools and techniques, in AI developments. So earlier, Emil talked about AI and ML in Azure, and I've seen that Azure makes it easier to develop AI, and another advantage or in Microsoft Azure is the deployment made easier, no? Because it's difficult to deploy machine learning, especially in other platform. But in Azure, now I've seen how Emil demo the deployment in Microsoft Azure, and it it made a lot easier. No, so another is currently we have already integrated in our curriculum the Microsoft Azure and other technologies right now. So um, with with the other concepts that I have encountered today, I think I will be integrate more, about Microsoft Azure, especially in AI and ML. And we're also using AI and ML in research. So in university and colleges, no, we have four pillars, which includes research, and AI and ML in Azure will greatly help us in addressing the needs of the community when it comes to using technologies like this.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. That's really like interesting. It's like it's amazing to see all of us gather together with this mission and technologic knowledge that we have, and we're making a difference in the Philippines to the students. And also to the scholars of ulap.org. So, yeah, please feel free to check the comments. We to sign up for Luna Academy and also fill up the form that we posted in the chat. I have one final question because we're running out of time. We are over time, but it's really great. I have one question just to any of you from the guests. I have a question if any of you would like to share your personal experience, how Azure changed your career. Any volunteer like who wants to just share freely?
Yeah, Philip, I think Philip wants to.
Yeah, for me, probably
Yeah,
I
sure.
can I can start. So, well, number one, how Azure helped, change my career, or yung impact in my career is that, of course, number one, I was given the opportunity to work for Microsoft. That's that's one, definitely. And then number two, not just Azure, no, but cloud in general. And this is not just for me, but what I've seen to the customers that I've worked with as well. Because before back then, I'm coming from a software engineering background, no. So back then, my only focus was on really software development, right? Writing code and things like that. That was the only thing that I was thinking about. So when I started using cloud, it really helped change my mindset. Coming from an I-shaped person, in where, and again, similar to the customers that I work with, we're I-shaped person, meaning we're only focused on one thing. For me, software engineering. For my customers, system administration. Some of them networking, security, and other things. And where that's the only thing that they're thinking about. But for some of you, maybe you already have some hands-on experience with the cloud, not just Azure. And as you can see, a lot of these things you can really do, even if you're, like in my case, I was a software engineer, but using cloud, I have the opportunity to create servers, I have the opportunity to manage database, I have the opportunity to do all this networking stuff. So in a way, it helped me change my mindset from an I-shaped person into a T-shaped person, in where, yes, I'm still focusing on, I still want to be good at one thing, maybe software engineering, for example, but all the other things, server administration, networking, security, all these things, at least learn the foundational, learn the basics. So because of this, and because this is how we're transforming our customers also, it helps you see the bigger picture, the high level, to know more how you can have more impact in what you do, or to the customers that you're working for or with. So for me, that's my thoughts on that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, before we proceed to anybody else who wants to share their story, otherwise we have a few questions for everyone. Let's see. This is for Alec, I believe. We have a question for about Luna Academy. What is the difference to enroll for free or purchase full access course at Luna?
Yeah. Hi, JV. So, the difference between the paid one is, of course, you will get full access to the labs, and then you will get a certificate at the end of the course, right, or the track. But for the free ones, it's merely like a free trial. You don't have lab work, and you won't have access to the labs, and you won't get certificates. So, parang you can try it out for free, and if it really picks your interest from the start, that's when we suggest you could pay. So we really give the users like a teaser in the start. Gauge it first. If you think you could handle it, then go for the paid one so you could get the full certification. There you go.
Yes. And let's see. We have, let's answer questions from the audience. Here, let's see. What do you think are the future plans and goals, contributions, and movements that Microsoft Azure will provide to, especially to students and career starters? I think this is a question that maybe Ian can answer.
Yep. Definitely, that's a good question. So right now, we always wanted to empower students as well. So as for the plans and goals, we have actually programs for students. We called it Azure for Students. So you can just go to azure.microsoft.com/students, and then they'll get access to different resources that they'll be able to use as a student. You just have to use their credential as a uh, student credentials. And what else? We also have the programs like the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador program, where you can be a Microsoft ambassador, where a lot of resources that available for you, from trainings to latest technologies and workshops. And uh, I think 2 weeks from now we'll be announcing as well one of the largest competition, Imagine Cup, a global student technology competition that could be a starter for you if you have any idea that you wanted to make it into a reality. So you may just visit imaginecup.microsoft.com, and you can get a chance to win around a $50,000 by just creating your idea into a reality and having it on Azure as well. So, yep.
Thank you so much, Ian, for that answer. We're running out of time. There's a lot to discuss, but we thank you so much, everyone, for your time. We appreciate it. And to all our audience that are here right now, feel free to connect with each of our speakers if you have any comments or feedback, or if you need help with any specific technology that they presented today. And we will be also, please feel free to share or fill up this feedback form after the event, just to present your feedback and comment about the event today. All right, and thank you. How about you, Fred? Do you have anything else that we need to announce?
Yeah. I just wish we had more time, because I am fascinated by the topic that we had, especially in the
Yes.
ML and the static web app, and um, I may want to try it myself.
Yes.
Um, I think that's a wrap for our fourth
Yes.
community day with Microsoft Azure, and
And
to our, yeah,
I
go up.
think I remember something. Ian mentioned something about vouchers. Uh, I'm not sure if someone asked about certifications, but we can share it later on if you still have you're gonna share that voucher that you shared earlier. Yes.
Yep, definitely. If they
Yes.
submitted the feedback or comment, we can definitely choose us. We can have a raffle
Yes.
on it.
Yeah. So please feel free to submit your feedback, this feedback through this forms link below, and get a chance to win a voucher from Microsoft and also from Luna Academy. All right. So we would like to wrap this up by thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. And we're very happy to have you here. We will be sending you certificates of appreciation for being our guests at ulap.org. And we will send it to you through email. Thank you so much, speakers. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so much.
everyone.
Thank you. All
All
right.
right.
All right. So before we end our session, we would like to thanks everyone for being here, and we would like to remind you about thank you for today, and we would like to remind you about our next community event, which will be the in November, the community day. This time for the cloud platform, Google Cloud. And also our speakers, and thank you so much. And we would also like to thank you our sponsors, premium sponsors, Alibaba Cloud, Device, CloudShift, and Luna Academy, as well as our event partners, Azure User Group Manila, Azure User Group Sweden, and most of all, Microsoft. Anything else, Fred?
No, I think that's all of it. I had a lot of fun this Saturday afternoon, and thank you everyone, the 54 or the 50 plus viewers. I think one has mistakenly reacted angry on our
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I
But
think there was like an I think it's not meant to
angry,
be.
well, yeah, I think
Yes, but I
mistakenly.
hope everyone is happy and put a lot of hearts
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this session.
We,
All right,
we
so
believe it.
yeah, I hope we didn't miss anything. But thank you so much. This is Jonah Andersson, community leader at ulap.org, and
And I'm Fred, community leader in ulap.org, and see you soon in the next community day event.
yes, thank you.